Well, the question, how do we get to a comprehensive energy policy and do renewable energy requirements adversely affect our nation? Well, as far as the first, if you're going to have a comprehensive energy policy, you got to have all issues of energy on the table. You can't have an administration that declares war on coal instead of saying, how can we make sure coal is utilized cleanly? Because let's face it, unless you have abundant energy that drives your economy, you're not going to be able to take care of the environment. Because a very poor nation, you want to see a disaster for the environment, go to very poor nations. It breaks your heart what you see happening to this earth, what they're doing, the pollution, the sewage, the things they can't take care of. Because the truth is, when your economy is not vibrant, when you're just trying to live, then as much as most of us want to take care of the environment, that has to take a back seat to just trying to live and get food for your kids. So you can't worry about what happens to sewage. You can't worry about the air quality because you're just trying to survive another day and get food for another day. So we ought to be embracing a comprehensive energy policy that recognizes, as some say, we're the Saudi Arabia of coal. We got more coal than anybody in the world, but we put so much of it off limits. There are ways to utilize coal that is a good steward of this environment. There are ways to utilize other carbon-based energy, particularly natural gas. My goodness, we ought to be moving to more and more natural gas use, and I would not have said that 9 years ago, because 9 years ago, when I very first got to Congress, we all pretty much agreed there's no way we could ever be energy independent in America. Now we know we can be energy independent. The advancements in hydraulic fracking and drilling, and by the way, hydraulic fracking, if you're going to have a comprehensive energy policy, you have to look realistically at hydraulic fracking. You can't just watch a movie that's partly financed by the Middle East that wants us not to be energy independent. You have to look at it. You have to get to the results, like the answer I got from former Secretary Salazar when I had to repeatedly ask him at a hearing, is there one scientific test that you can point to, one scientific study that has found that hydraulic fracking has polluted water? And he couldn't, and he finally had to acknowledge that he couldn't. Now, the EPA has shut down some wells for fear that it had polluted drinking water, but each time the studies were completed, they have found that it did not. So now we need to be cautious in a comprehensive energy policy so that if somebody's drilling in our Gulf, like Exxon or Shell or somebody like that, and you see that over a number of years they have one egregious safety violation or no egregious safety or two, then you keep an eye on them. But if you have somebody like British Petroleum that had nearly 800 egregious safety violations in the time that other drillers had one or two, you shut them down. You say, we're not going to let you out here to drill until you're safe. And if you're not ever safe enough, you're not ever drilling in our waters again. But this administration, sounds like they were so thrilled that BP was looking into possibly embracing their crap and trade policy, that, you know, they looked the other way as BP continually violated safety standards. So to have a comprehensive energy policy, you gotta care about the environment. You got to make sure people are operating safely. But we're now finding oil like never before. Look at the boom in North Dakota. Look at the boom in West Texas. I mean, we ought to be going through an energy renaissance. We ought to be going through an economic renaissance in America, and energy ought to be driving that. I had some Chinese ask me some years back when they were over here in Washington, they said, you know, we've been trying to figure out your energy policy and we think we may have figured it out. We think maybe what you're doing, you keep putting your energy off limits for drilling or mining or whatever. We think maybe you're saving your energy and going to make the rest of the world use their energy, and then when everybody else's energy is used up, you'll be the sole superpower again because nobody else has energy but you. And I laughed. I said, I'd like to tell you, you caught us. You figured us out. But you guys think in terms of generations and hundreds of years. And here in Washington, people think about this afternoon or what's for lunch. So I wish we had a policy and we could say you caught us, but we don't. But that's what we got to get to. And if we will do that and use the blessings that God has given this country, we're going to have a renaissance economically.